So obviously Portugal, like we just said in our full predictions. If anyone's watching the clip, check out our full predictions video. I'm gonna link it up. You can click on it. It's like right up here or something. But
Some okay.
Portugal, Portugal, they are playing Switzerland, and obviously, I think it's going to be a very interesting match. It's not a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. Switzerland, they were able to just beat pretty much, I think, their arch rivals, Serbia, 3-2, and that game was absolutely breathtaking to watch. Maybe one of the best games of the whole group stage. So I'll go ahead and pass this one off to you first. What do you expect for this game, given you did pick Portugal to obviously advance? So what do you expect for this game for Portugal?
I think uh I think it's gonna be a bit of a close game. I don't have it being as close of a game as like maybe like South Korea and Brazil, but Switzerland is no like team just like completely look over just because really every team that's made it this far has to be respected to
Hmm.
where they made. Switzerland are have always been somewhat of a very solid sign. They've always a solid side, and I think they're gonna push Portugal in some areas of the pitch, but I think it just comes down to the firepower and the creativeness of this Portugal team. And Bruno's been playing out of his mind. João Felix has been playing very solid, and I see them winning this game by a comfortable 2-0. I mean, when I think about this matchup, it reminds me of the goal that Cristiano Ronaldo scored on them in the 2016 Euros. The flick,
Hmm.
the back heel flick, and I think this team knows how to play against this Swiss side. So I think they're gonna get by 2-0.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I picked Portugal to win this game as well, so I agree with what you've been saying. I think that the Swiss team is definitely not a pushover. I think that if Portugal come out and they don't play the way that I expect them to play, Switzerland can very much so beat this Portugal team. They have some very quality players. Mbolo is on very good form. Granit Xhaka, who's been on class form for Arsenal coming into the World Cup, and then so far throughout the World Cup, he's been playing good. Shaqiri turned back the clock into the old Shaqiri. He was able to get
The
a
old
goal
Shaqiri.
against Serbia, just happened today. Shaqiri was been looking very good. They have quality players, and their midfield and attack is very strong. And even though they have Akanji who plays for Manchester City, and they have a decent defense, I think that that's where this Swiss team kind of lacks because when they're going to be going against a team like Portugal, who's going to probably have more possession and they just have more firepower in the attack, with Bernardo Silva, with Joao Felix, with Bruno Fernandes, with obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, who's not quite firing like he used to, but he can always be that threat, and he's always going to be a threat. He's going to take away, your center backs. He's going to occupy their mind because in the back of their head, this is Cristiano Ronaldo. At the end of the day, you can't give this guy an inch of space because if you do, he will potentially make you pay. And obviously, that opens up so much space for the rest of this Portugal team. And I think Portugal is obviously going to have more possession and they're going to create more chances. And ultimately, they are going to find a way to break down this Swiss team that is going to have to play a little bit more defensive than I think they'd like to. And when you consider all of that, I think Portugal, they're going to get the goals that they need. And given the fact that their attack has been so lethal and so good, and this Swiss team, I think their biggest weakness is defense. I think it doesn't bode well for Switzerland, given the fact that their biggest weakness happens to be Portugal's biggest strength. So when you consider all of that, I would expect Portugal to win this game 3-1. I think that they're going to be able to uh, just I think they're going to go up like 2-0 early on, potentially. They're just going to kind of pound it on and then maybe Switzerland get one back, because they are a solid team. They're going to fight. And then ultimately, Portugal, they get one late on to kind of seal the deal. I think it's what I would expect. And I would expect Bruno Fernandes to continue on his amazing form that he's had because let's be honest, so far this World Cup, he's looked like the best midfielder in the world. He's been
Yeah,
he's been looking like turning back the clock potentially to some of those Manchester United days. And
the early ones. Yeah,
we've never quite seen this, for him in Portugal. He's never quite been the main talisman for Portugal, and that's what he's been so far. And the fact that Ronaldo doesn't have to be the best player on the field, and Portugal can still do what I expect them to do, that kind of shows how good this team is. Because you think about Portugal teams in the past, it's pretty much Ronaldo or bust. Now Portugal have so many weapons, they have so many guys at their disposal. I mean, this attack is so good that Rafael Leao is a bench.
yeah.
He comes off the bench. That just goes to show. And I think he has a debate to be starting, but obviously Santos doesn't think he should be starting. but that kind of potentially plays in their favor because they have someone of that quality coming off the bench if they need a goal. I trust Rafael Leao. He's
Yeah.
so clinical in front of goal, and he is so dynamic. He's so tough to stop. But, you know, even though this Portugal attack is so good, their defense is looking very strong. I called for Pepe to get into that starting 11. And Pepe, he
He's
turned
played
back the clock.
well.
He's
He's
played
played
well. He turned
well.
back the clock, and obviously they got Ruben Diaz, they got Cancelo, and obviously Costa. He wasn't quite looking like a very good goalkeeper after that Ghana game, but he's kind of cemented himself as there's a reason why he's the starter. At the end of the day, and he was playing very good for Porto coming into the tournament. He's a very good goalkeeper. This Portugal team is just, I think it's a little bit too much for Switzerland to handle. They're just not gonna. They don't have the firepower to keep up, in my opinion.